This video is going to be all about how can you save your audio when you unfortunately have a situation where there's noise in the background. Now, a quick disclaimer, this won't salvage all audio. There are still things that you can't remove, but this will really do some incredible things, and our mind was blown. So before I go into the real life scenario where this tool saved our butts on some audio that just didn't sound right, let me talk about the tool itself. So it's called Adobe Podcast, and I believe this is still a beta tool, but we had watched a video by Piximperfect a while back where he was showing the power of this online AI tool that basically takes your audio and automatically fixes it. Here, you just take your audio file, you put it in, it will automatically use AI to fix that audio, make it sound as good as it can, and then you download it. And honestly, it's mind-blowing what it can do. So let me give you a quick example of the power of this. Right now, we're using a podcast mic, which should sound pretty good. Now, if we were to go switch to, let's say, the camera audio, now we're using the camera audio. So now we're now using Adobe Podcast, and it may not be quite as good as an actual podcast mic, but it's pretty much mind-blowing that that's usable. Back in the day, that would not have been usable, and now you can actually use footage. So God forbid you forget to click record on your audio recorder, you could still have usable audio. So let's talk about our actual use case. So we went up to Seattle recently, and we had to film some interviews in an airport hangar. And in this hangar, there were a few primary noise sources. So we would constantly have airplanes taxiing by and taking off. And so as much as we could, we would pause if it was really loud, and then we would record again. But we got to a point where all of a sudden they had a jet engine that needed to warm up. And our client told us, oh, that could probably take an hour or more. So we just have to keep rolling. And as you can hear in this audio here, the phones again and say in addition.
Okay.
That's what was in the background of these clips. The other noise that was in the background is they had these large hangar doors that kept banging. It was windy outside, and they would make these little bang noises every once in a while, which did cause some challenges for the Adobe Podcast. So let's jump into how we approach this audio. So we decided to start with Adobe Audition because we work with that all the time. Now, you can capture a noise print or some actual noise sound from Adobe Audition and then use that as a noise reduction, and it dramatically brings the noise out. But if you listen to this clip here.
In addition, we use seat pack parachute systems from Strong Enterprises.
You hear how the audio doesn't sound quite right? The more aggressive you have to get with noise reduction in audio, specifically in Adobe Audition, the worse that sounds. And so for me, I didn't feel like that was usable. So that's when we tried the Adobe Podcast. And so again, here is before the Adobe Podcast.
In addition, we use seat pack parachute systems from Strong Enterprises.
And then here is with the Adobe Podcast.
In addition, we use seat pack parachute systems from Strong Enterprises.
You see how much better that sounds? It's pretty incredible. But there was an issue that our editor Jacob came across. He said that sometimes when those big banging sounds happened, it would actually tell Adobe Podcast to just cut the audio completely. And so we were left with some sections that just didn't work. So what we ended up doing is doing some more research. We had heard that inside of Davinici Resolve, that they have some pretty strong voice isolation software themselves. And so we were able to do that, and it was much better than the Adobe Podcast, but it still had some little clicks. But ultimately, it was usable.
In addition, we use seat pack parachute systems from Strong Enterprises. In addition, we use seat pack parachute systems from Strong Enterprises. In addition, we use seat pack parachute systems from Strong Enterprises.
Honestly, between the different softwares right now, there are so many options to actually bring your audio back to life. But let me tell you a little bit about the limitations of this Adobe Podcast tool. The first limitation is what I was telling you about, that banging noise. For whatever reason, the AI decided it's better to just cut the audio altogether than try to remove it. The second limitation is you literally only have an on or an off when it comes to the Adobe AI adjusted audio. So if you want to reduce some of the effect that's happening, you can't really do that. And that would be a nice feature in the future if it allowed you to run the tool and then see some different parameters that you could adjust. And then the last one I noticed is I actually tested this out on a project we did not too long ago. We were filming a commercial down at the beach, and we ended up replacing the audio in post, doing ADR, and had her re-record the script so that it sounded really clean. But I wanted to see how well it would do with removing the audio of the ocean. And what I found is it actually seemed to more favor men's voices.
Planning a vacation by yourself is hard. Planning the wrong vacation is even worse. Planning a vacation by yourself is hard. Planning the wrong vacation is even worse. Planning a vacation by yourself is hard. Planning the wrong vacation is even worse.
I hope that this is really helpful and that these tools can save some of your audio in the future. If you like this video, I don't ask this often, but make sure you like the video and subscribe to our channel. Our goal is to continue to provide helpful content so that you can grow your video production career and hopefully really be able to thrive in not only your creativity, but in building a business. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.